Good morning. I wanted to have a little talk this morning about fanaticism because it's a topic that seems to keep coming back. Understanding fanaticism and how people use it for their own agenda or gain or justification. Fanaticism is basically an entity or a group of entities that create a spirit of fanaticism. And we've seen this spirit of fanaticism throughout history playing out in very difficult situations. And so, like last night, the you-know-who dropped the biggest bombs outside of nuclear bombs on refugee camps in South Lebanon. Men, women, and children were evaporated. And you can ask yourself what the Ascended Masters or the Mahachohan think about that, or about the United States merging our military capabilities with these ones, which is just around the corner. And so the Ascended Masters have warned us about fanaticism and being fanatic. At the same time, we also have to understand that the Ascended Masters have advocated purity and the importance of purity. And purity is a vibration that is a fast spinning vibration. Purity is the acceleration of our chakras, it's the acceleration of our aura, it's the acceleration by which we can bridge the gap between the physical and the etheric plane. The Master Serapis Bey, who serves on the Ray of Purity, told us that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. When I look at my life, I see two people in particular who have chided me about being too fanatic. That was their own interpretation of my life. Because in both cases they were using the term to justify their will, their agenda. What I found over time is that their will and their agenda was leading to a deceleration of energy and consciousness and the true loyalty to the vibration of the teachings. And so I heard things like, well, you don't want to be fanatic about your choice of music, or you don't want to be fanatic. In particular, we don't have to fulfill the various mandates that the Ascended Masters have given us. And it's true, just like Gautama Buddha in the middle way, we have to not be too tight where the string breaks, or we don't want to be too loose where the string won't play. Guru Ma taught me a little interesting story regarding fanaticism that was helpful to me, in the sense that when I was in San Diego with her and we went out for ice cream, the ice cream came back and it was vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate. And Mother didn't say, no, don't eat the chocolate. And I was really surprised because I had been on a strict diet of macrobiotics where, chocolate ice cream wasn't a part of the picture. And I had a little bit, and this opened my awareness to the fact that we cannot be fanatic. Simultaneously, that doesn't give us permission to go out and eat chocolate ice cream every day if we want to really accelerate on the spiritual path, though some may be able to do it. The point is, yes, ultimately, judge not lest ye be judged, but there are certain guidelines and there are certain admonishments that the Ascended Masters have made very clear to us, including certain requests that they have made from us, that it would be better to listen to than to dismiss as fanaticism. When we think of Enoch crying for his children at the top of the mountain, they couldn't go back up the mountain of God after they had descended into what some people would say, well, they just weren't being fanatic. They were having a little fun here, messing around with the fallen ones, and just what's the harm in dancing, and consciousness of the less rigid, fun activity. They found they couldn't return back up the mountain of God. We see the same thing happen in Shambhala. The realists were like, hey, this is fanatic, and Shambhala was taken back up. Then we see in the story, the most important story of Lord Maitreya and the Garden of Eden, the Maitreya's mystery school from then and now, where Maitreya said, you shall not eat of the fruit of good and evil, and yet some said, well, we're not going to be fanatic. A little bit won't hurt. A little bite here, a little bite there. Before you knew it, they were cast out of the mystery school. And what does that mean? That means that their vibration had descended to the place where they could no longer be in the vibration of the mystery school. The mystery school was lifted up into a higher etheric vibration. This is what happens. The masters can take a school or an activity or an organization or a temple or a group of individuals and lift them up into the higher etheric plane from the perspective of an accelerated frequency. What's left behind is just the bare rocks of the physical plane. If you're going to make a choice as to whether or not what you're doing is fanatic or simply pure, go into your heart and see and be careful about labeling other people as fanatic, because some of the most pure people that I have seen, the most devoted people I have seen in the movement of the Summit Lighthouse and in other situations, have been labeled at times by fanatics, by those who did not want to engage in that same level of devotion or purity. We have to be really careful to understand that the Ascended Masters hold a very strong standard that they expect us to fulfill. They do not dilute their standard, and Guru Ma told us their standard and making the Ascension is a lot harder than most people think. Because you have to be able to raise the vibration of your four lower bodies. You have to be able to accelerate to the place where you can be integrated into and go in through and beyond the Ascension flame. That requires that your four lower bodies be able to pass through that. Your emotions, your mind, your thoughts, and your physical atoms and structure. Even if you're no longer an embodiment, there is a correspondence, like Hermes said, as above so below, as below so above. Leaving the physical plane does not guarantee a ticket into the etheric plane. And my question to you would be, if you're not in the teachings to make your ascension, why are you here? There is the Unity Church where everybody gets along just fine, and there are lesser paths out there that will provide all of the fellowship and opportunities to explore things without the stringency and the seeming hardness of the path that the fallen ones have told us from the beginning was the detriment of the mystery school. Mother Mary said, they told us, your teachers are just too hard, too difficult. The Unity Church is just around the corner. Or you can fully engage in the path of the Ascension. Be careful, because the Pied Piper was not a fanatic, and he led everyone down the river. Be careful of the Pied Pipers. They have a lot of fun as they go into the river. They have what is called a sweet death. We have to be careful about that if we want to choose life, not death. Always remember Mighty Estrella and purity. Always remember the Hound of Heaven that Saint Germain said he was. Always remember the Divine Mother who goes after the light of her children that has been stolen. Remember to always send your love to Enoch, who waits for you at the top of the mountain that you must climb once again. Namaste.